How's it going, everybody? It's Polyfam. We are back with another FPL video, and today we're going to be taking a look at PEP Roulette Game Week 31 edition. Pep Guardiola's done some interesting things in the Premier League in the past week, as well as he has changed up his team pretty much, almost half of it for the Champions League game that they played tonight in their 2-1 victory over Borussia Dortmund. So we're going to be taking a look at how that changes the landscape for Premier League assets for Manchester City for Fantasy Premier League. If you haven't done so already, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available, and drop us a follow over on Twitter so that you can keep up to date with all the different posts that we're doing over there, as well as new videos and when we go live. And speaking of when we go live, we will be doing a stream over on Twitch for the deadline stream for Game Week 31 on the Friday, 1 hour before the FPL deadline. That's where we do all our preview and deadline streams for live streams. Those are all over on Twitch. There'll be a pinned comment down below to show you when the next stream will be, and I'll give you the time as well. So without further ado, let's see how Pep Guardiola lined up in Game Week 30. So this is the team that Pep Guardiola put out in Game Week 30. A very interesting team, a team that I didn't expect. I thought he would go strong and kind of replicate something similar to what he was going to use versus Borussia Dortmund, but he actually went the opposite way. He kind of put in a bunch of players that he knew he could trust and something that they can get the victory over the line, or at least come out of the game with at least a draw. But for the most part, Man City were quite comfortable, and even with the changed up lineup, they were quite comfortable in the game, and Leicester really didn't show too much, all things considered. Ederson maintained his place in goal, as did Diaz and Rodri as well, in the kind of spine of, the team, as it were. It was the other positions that were slightly changed. So I expected Walker to play, obviously dealing with the pace of, Vardy and Iheanacho. But Laporte played, and he seems to be picking up a lot of minutes potentially in the Premier League, which could mean that he could be quite a good asset going forward. More on that in a bit. And Benjamin Mendy, someone who has been a bit on the fringes, especially at left back, being a naturally left-footed player. His best position would be in at left back, and he was actually able to, kind of hold the width on that left-hand side. Jesus was kind of deployed as kind of a left inside forward, and Mendy was able to get up there and really keep Albrighton pinned back for Leicester. In midfield, they went for something a bit more secure to protect the likes of Mendy and Walker, who could get high up the pitch, as well as the pace in behind. And that's Rodri and Fernandinho just kind of shutting things off when the play was trying to, spring, any form of counterattack against them. With Leicester, they have some very good players who can distribute the ball quite quickly and quite well. And Ndidi and Tielemans. Madison he was on the bench for the game, but he is also another player that could definitely do that. And it was still, kind of up in the air as to whether he would start. So Rodri and Fernandinho, two players which are, they're just going to sit there and they're going to do exactly what they need to do. Just taking the ball off the opposition and recycling it, basically, which is exactly what they did. And De Bruyne coming in and around the box, getting in and around the box when he needs to, making those late runs, kind of playing the Gundogan role in that sense, and yeah, kind of just leaving the front three to their own devices, as it were, whereas Mars was holding width and allowing Walker to do underlapping runs on the right side. Mendy was doing overlapping runs with Jesus kind of staying close to Aguero and kind of forming like a front two with De Bruyne kind of playing in behind them as well. And that was another thing we haven't seen for a while, Aguero and Jesus playing in a front two. Although Pep did change it up later on in the game. Aguero came off around the 60-minute mark. Sterling came on, Foden came on, and Ferran Torres also came on as well. So he made 3 substitutions in that one. But for the most part, quite comfortable. And a different lineup than I was definitely expecting. But let's see who the first player who is slowly becoming a Premier League FPL asset could be quite, quite crucial, and potentially a, undervalued player getting some bonus points and could be an FPL asset for the run-in for the rest of the season. And that player is Aymeric Laporte, somebody who's played 90 minutes in the last 3 Premier League matches, getting 7 points versus Leicester, 6 points versus Fulham, and just the 1 point versus Southampton, but playing 90 minutes in all of them and partnering Diaz or Stones, depending on who he's playing with, but mostly it seems to be Diaz, basically, and I think that could be the Premier League partnership, whereas Diaz and Stones, as we saw tonight in the Champions League, are going to be the Champions League partnership. And as long as they're in Europe, I think this is definitely going to be the case. Laporte, again, provides a good partner to the likes of Diaz as he's left-footed. It just means Diaz swaps to the opposite side, which he's perfectly comfortable with doing. Either way, he's a good defender and he can play left-sided center back or right-sided center back. But when he plays with Laporte will play as the left-sided center back in a back four. And I think that Laporte is potentially being undervalued for the run-in. He may be even potentially more nailed in the weeks to come over Ruben Diaz, who's somebody who has played a lot of minutes and will probably be protected, especially if they get to the semi-final and final of the Champions League and the FA Cup. And they're definitely going to need him for that. And then maybe they might, play him here, get him odd minutes here and there, or take him off early if the game is, pretty much won, or they've already won the Premier League and don't really need to play him, just so he can keep, kind of his fitness up a little bit and, keeping himself ticking along. But I think Laporte is definitely going to be the partner alongside him in the Premier League. Nathan Ake, I don't think he was on the full roster for the bench tonight in the Champions League. I'm not sure if he's re-injured himself or what's happening, or is just being left out of the squad. But I think Laporte is going to be playing a lot of games in at center back for the run-in. So potentially a good pick at center back. If you want something a little bit more secure, you can go for Diaz, but Laporte is definitely another option, and I can see him picking up more Premier League minutes for the run-in for the rest of this season. Now, Riyad Mahrez, I wanted to talk about a little bit here because he's someone who seems to have picked up his form, got his rest seemingly versus Fulham, not taking part in any of that fixture at all, getting 60 minutes, 18 points versus Southampton, getting 78 minutes versus Leicester, also playing in tonight's Champions League as well, playing the full 90 minutes there. But the main reason is because Leeds is their next fixture, and I think that with Riyad Mahrez playing, he's someone who can match the pace, he can match the press, recovers quite quickly, and even someone who could potentially do multiple games in a week where they are high intensity. So the Dortmund one was pretty open if you watched it in the first 20 minutes, and was open towards the end of the game as well, and would have put a lot of stress on the players. Now, going into a match versus Leeds, it's going to be high intensity as well. And the last time they played Leeds was actually after a midweek game versus Burnley. Now, Burnley's not going to be as high intense as, versus Borussia Dortmund, but it is still a game in midweek. And Riyad Mahrez played both of those games as well, the midweek game and the game versus Leeds. So I expect him to do so as well, whether it's in a false nine role or out on the right-hand side. I think he's one of these players that's going to be more of like a mainstay, and we'll see more of that when I show you what I think the predicted lineup Pep might go with for Game Week 31. He'll have a few mainstays in there where those players will kind of keep their place for the most part, to kind of keep somewhat of a skeleton, and then he'll change kind of the rest of it up to give players minutes as well. But I think Riyad Mahrez, 8.2 million, could be someone that maintains his place in the Premier League. And if you're looking for a City asset that could be, on the cheap, as it were, De Bruyne is obviously close to 12 million. Gundogan doesn't seem to be holding his place down in the Premier League. At least he'll definitely play Champions League because he's part of their best 11. But I think Riyad Mahrez could potentially be a good player, at least for the run-in for the final game weeks of the season. Now, someone who hasn't had that good of a time in recent weeks is Raheem Sterling. And I wanted to mention him because if you look at the lack of minutes that he's had over the recent game weeks, in 27, no minutes versus Southampton. In 28, no minutes versus Fulham. Then the blank in 29, played some international games, sure, but was taken off early in some of those games as well. Leicester comes on, gets himself an assist in the 27 minutes that he did play. And then the Champions League game tonight, City was 1-1 up until like the 84th, 85th minute before they scored. And Raheem Sterling, there was no intention of bringing him on or anyone else. It was just Jesus who came on as the one sub. So very interesting to see if Raheem Sterling was to be benched this week versus Leeds. However, he was one of the players that did play versus Leeds last time. And I think that's just because of his, great engine that he has. He can basically run for 90 minutes non-stop. Very pacey, good in the press, and you're going to need that for man-to-man marking. And he's someone who can definitely shake a defender 1v1. And Leeds man-to-man marking system, he could definitely do that. So I personally think he's going to come back in for this game, as he's pretty much a specialist player versus a team like Leeds. But I would be very cautious if I were to, if you were buying him on a 1 week punt, or you were bringing him on a wild card or something like that, seeing, oh, he hasn't played as much Premier League minutes, so surely he's going to play some now. And with Phil Foden scoring in the Champions League, getting them the 1 goal advantage going into the the reverse leg in the Champions League, maybe the left hand side is kind of taken up by him, and Sterling is going to have to play second fiddle to him for the foreseeable future, at least in the big games. Whereas the Premier League pretty much can play anyone. City's pretty much got the league wrapped up, but with their breadth of talent, I think Sterling is definitely going to see minutes. It's just when are those minutes going to come, and is he going to perform how he's done, for the whole season, or how he's done at parts of the season? For the whole season, it's been very spotty. For parts of the season, he's been brilliant, and there's other parts of the season he hasn't been great at all. So which Raheem Sterling get, we will see. But I do know that he's going to be looking to vie for a starting position in Gareth Southgate's England Euro 2020 squad, and I think that he's going to have to, improve his performances to make sure that he's definitely in that. So will Raheem Sterling get the minutes? I think he's going to play versus Leeds personally, but be a bit risky on that, and it seems like his minutes are dropping a bit, which may hinder his chances for the Euro and for our FPL teams in the next coming game weeks. Now, this is the team I think Pep Guardiola is going to go with in game week 31 versus Leeds at home. He picked this pretty much similar-ish backline versus Leeds last time. I can't remember if Laporte played, but I do know that Diaz, Mendy, Walker, and Ederson all played. Laporte, I think, is going to be their Premier League center back alongside him. I think Stones may have been injured at the time, so if it was the same backline, I think it makes sense. Rodri will probably play again, although he didn't look very comfortable on the ball at points versus Dortmund, so maybe he needs a bit of a rest, and they play Fernandinho there. That is also an option. But he went with this, this false nine, the 5 attacking midfielder type of formation in the reverse fixture versus Leeds. De Bruyne played. Riyad Mahrez was one of those players that played. Raheem Sterling also played. And Ferran Torres played as well. Mahrez was playing the false 9 that night, at least on paper. Sterling was out on the left and Torres was out on the right. Instead of Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden played in that midfield role. But I think Foden is going to be crucial for the Dortmund game in the reverse leg in that fixture as well. And I think him, getting his confidence by scoring a goal after missing a couple of chances in that game. I think Pep will want to rest him and save him because he knows that Phil Foden is coming through with some pretty clutch moments, and he's a very, kind of multi-talented player. Can shoot with his left, shoot with his right, pass with both feet, can play a multitude of positions, and I think he's going to be crucial for that no fear kind of factor, that get that goal when you desperately need it type of player. And I think that's valuable to the likes of Pep Guardiola, who's a team that has stumbled when the going gets tough basically in the Champions League. So I think Foden will be on the bench in this one, obviously still be in reserve. Aguero and Jesus I think will drop to the bench as well. The only difference I can see potentially in this lineup is, like I said, Fernandinho plays instead of Rodri to give him a bit of a rest. I think De Bruyne probably plays again because he just plays every game, and maybe take him off a little bit early. So if you do have De Bruyne, just be wary that he may get taken off at around the 60-minute mark, because I think that's likely to happen. And I think the other possibility that could also happen is, Jesus came on as a sub versus Dortmund. Maybe he starts this game, to get him a bit of rhythm, as Pep likes to use that term, for the Dortmund fixture the following week. So we'll have to see on that one. But I think he'll go with this formation. So very similar players to who played in the reverse fixture of that. And Pep does tend to play players in fixtures that he's played against, teams before, because he feels that they're best suited for that. But if I'm looking for a 1 week or a punt on a player that's going to see a lot of Premier League minutes, I think after the likes of, Ederson, Diaz, and probably De Bruyne, and maybe even Laporte you could probably put in there for FPL assets. I think Mahrez is probably your best bet, I think. I think he's just someone who's going to play a lot of Premier League minutes. Pep's often talked about his regeneration, as in his ability to basically get back up and play more and more minutes at the same, high standard in the Premier League and the Champions League. So I think he could be an outside shout for a captaincy option as a differential one for this game, because it is quite tough to pick a captain this week. There's not very many standouts. United and Spurs play each other Leicester, they play West Ham, who've been quite good recently. City playing Leeds is the who's going to play type of factor. And it is quite difficult to pick a captain for this game, for at least the ones that we normally would have chosen. And a lot of people may not necessarily have Salah yet, or they may be getting him back in for this game week. And Aston Villa, could they be a little bit better defensively? Potentially. I mean, the only goal they conceded to Fulham was basically a mistake, but they definitely have that in them. And last time they played Liverpool, they won 7-2. So again, captaincy options are a bit tricky, but if I was going for one, Riyad Mahrez is probably the one. And yeah, this is the lineup I think Pep Guardiola might go with for Game Week 31. And that's going to do it for our Game Week 31 Pep Roulette edition for this week. If you haven't done so already, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can see all the posts that we do over there, and drop us a follow over on Twitch so that you can see when we go live for our preview and deadline streams. We will be doing a deadline stream 1 hour before the FPL deadline on Friday this week, because Game Week 31 deadline is on a Friday, so make sure to come check us out for that. I believe it's 12:30 p.m. EST is 1 hour before it, but just check the pinned comment down below for more information on that one. But yeah, we will be live over on Twitch, which normally I don't get to do, but with my change schedule, I can do streams on Fridays, which is nice, because it seems like they just fancy putting fixtures on Fridays randomly for whatever reason. But yeah, we roll with the punches. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.